From the worldwide home of the Widener Pride, this is WidenerPride.com as we continue our series of interviewing our fall coaches prior to the 2010 season. And we are joined right now by Widener men's soccer coach Brent Chiquette. Brent, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Last year, I know record-wise the season did not go as planned, but there were a lot of positives. Can you talk about last season and what the positives were that can be brought, building going into this year?
Overall, I think we accomplished a lot throughout the season. We started off strong, had a couple injuries like many teams usually deal with. But we had our success in our own hands towards the end of the year, and unfortunately with a couple games in hand towards the end of the year, we just weren't able to take care of our own business. But as a coach, I think all we can really ask for is to give ourselves the best chance. And if we had won a game or two towards the end of the season, we certainly could have taken care of our own business, and we didn't do that. But I think going forward, we learned a lot of lessons. A lot of things came from the character of the players, and I hope that that's something that we can build upon for the years to come.
You have two seniors on the team, and you've been a part of the program for 4 years. Your second year as a head coach, two as an assistant. One of the players that is a four-year player is Eric Krensick, who's been talk about what he's meant to you on the back line.
Eric's been great. He's been a stalwart for the team from freshman year on as a starting left back. We've tried a couple times to move him into the center of the field, which we may look at doing again this year, but he's been great on and off the field. We look at student athletes who in the classroom don't cause any problems. I never have to look after him. He's one of the first ones there. Very workmanlike attitude, and has been great on and off the field for us. And I think that his quiet leadership is very indicative of the type of personality he is and the type of player that we look to recruit here. Kids that are going to take care of their own business, work hard on the field for us, not cause any troubles, and hopefully his leadership and experience as now coming into his fourth year and hopefully being a fourth-year starter is going to be something that is going to be helpful with a very young team this year.
Another scene that you have is Colin Cook, three-year player. Talk about what he means to the defense as well.
Colin's been great for us. He is more of a vocal leader than Eric for sure. For the guys that are on the team and probably for some other teams, he's somebody that everybody knows. He's a recognizable figure on the field, big guy. Has been great for us in the back. We might look at playing him in a couple other positions this year. I think he has a little bit of versatility, and certainly we'd like to get a little bit of goal scoring out of him, so the further up the field we can get him, the better off we'll be. But he's certainly one that the troops rally around. He's the leader in the locker room, and a lot of the guys feed off him once they get on the field from a physical standpoint and just an overall leadership standpoint. So between the experience of those two players and a couple of the other upperclassmen, we're hoping that in the locker room and on the field, some of the upperclassmen can lead the freshmen and hope that it helps our season this year.
You have 11 players on the team that are either juniors or seniors. Is that a good thing that they'll be back for another year, or a bad thing that a lack of experience, or a little both?
There's a middle ground with that. Certainly you like experience. For games when they're coming down to the wire, you like to have kids who have been in opportunities where the pressure's on and they're feeling that pressure, and how do they cope with that. So certainly we might have some instances throughout the year where lack of leadership may come into play, but long-term planning, I think that it'll be great in years to come. I certainly don't want another senior class to come through here without having a successful season or without having a good opportunity to win something or get to the postseason. But having a young class, hopefully it will help to build for the future. I plan to be here for the long run, hopefully, and with that we're hoping to build around some of the younger kids and complement them with the upperclassmen that we do have, and hopefully as time moves forward we'll be able to mesh the upperclassmen with the underclassmen and find the best mix possible.
You have, and just watching last year and watching as the season progressed and going into the alumni game, it seems that a lot of the players have bought into the system. Would you agree with that?
I would certainly hope so. We had quite a few up and downs throughout the fall in terms of what formation we wanted to play and who some of the best players would be, and looking at the players who might complement each other a little bit better. But we've stuck to our guns with a couple of things. We really tried to play good soccer and not just kick the ball long and run and only rely on results, which I think will play a big part, hopefully, in the way we play this year and hopefully some of the results as well. And I think being able to stick to our guns with that, the guys have rallied around that. And I think whether it's the players on the team or the staff, I think our spring day was somewhat indicative of that. We changed to a different formation, and for the first time in quite a while, it looked like the guys really enjoyed themselves. We had success on the field, which I'm always optimistic about, but won't necessarily mean anything as of September 1st in our first regular season game. But I think the guys did buy into that, and every day we're just trying to make the culture what we want it to be long term. And I have my plans in the back of my mind. Our staff has our own plans. But at the end of the day, the team is what the 28 or 30 guys on the roster want it to be. And unless they really care about that, and unless they really buy into it, then what I think or what the coaching staff thinks doesn't really matter. And I think we're getting closer and closer to coming to an agreement as to what we want Widener soccer to really stand for.
You had the alumni game last year, and there's a very good turnout. Talk about how important that is to the program.
I think being located where we are, most of our student body as well as student athletes come from a geographic area where they're close enough. Not too many people move too far away. So we have a lot of people who have come through this program that aren't very far away. And I think the more that we can have the men's soccer graduates around our current players, the better off we're going to be. Whether it's trying to get internships or jobs for our players once they graduate, just sharing experiences, traditions, anything like that. The more that we can tie this together and bring it back to that word culture that I said before, I think the better off we'll be. Wins and losses is always important, but the experience that the kids have for the 4 years that they're here, I think is really what it's all about. That's going to go a lot longer than winning or losing a game at some point throughout your career, and that's what we're really trying to bring together.
And lastly, a trip to Brazil is in the works, from what I understand. Talk about that and what your expectations are as far as that.
We're in the process of doing a lot of fundraising for a potential trip to Brazil. I had an opportunity to go overseas when I was in college, and it was a great experience. We played some very good teams, but from a cultural standpoint, it was fantastic. So we're hoping within the next 12 to 18 months to be able to do that. A large part is going to be fundraising through the local community, local businesses, parents obviously, and hopefully alumni as well as we move forward. But it's an opportunity to be able to really bond and to be able to get the kids away from campus and just experience a different part of the world, a different part of culture. And obviously there will be a soccer component, but a lot of it's going to be just the cultural side of things. And I have some vivid memories of the trip that I took, and I know most of the people that have taken those type of trips remember that for a long time. And again, I think that's something that's very important as opposed to just the wins and losses of games, is the cultural side to that and what you can experience while you're here for the 4 years, because once they graduate, it's harder and harder to have those opportunities to travel overseas or have those type of experiences.
The first home game of the year for any Widener team is for our men's soccer team. That'll be against Rosemont on Wednesday, September 1st. And then that weekend, the Pride will be heading over to Swarthmore's tournament to face Immaculata and Gwynedd Mercy. We thank head coach Brent Jaquette for joining us, and we thank you for your support of Widener University Athletics.